Welcome, everybody, to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and spring has sprung. I am so thrilled about that. I live in LA, so it's not like we had any snowy winter days, but it's still nice and getting nicer. So I'm recording this down at my surfer pad, and this is a place that we are borrowing while we are remodeling our kitchen and one bathroom. So I'm in the middle of the remodel, and I wanted to talk about the beautiful analogies between remodeling your home and recovering from emotional eating. I have enjoyed the process of picking out colors and tiles and things like that. I've been a bit obsessive, I will admit, at times, and that's all done. And now we're in the middle of the remodel, and it's going fairly well. I'm super grateful for that. I'm going to knock on wood while I say that. I have a good general contractor, young guy, he's in his 20s, and he is unflappable, absolutely unflappable. And there are times when I'm very flappable and I get a little anxious. I'm shelling out some dough for this thing, and I'm excited about it, but I'm nervous about how it's going to be. Is it going to be better than it was? And is it going to be right? And are the measurements right? And this whole crew that I'm dealing with is a little lax on the measurement side of things, and I'll get to that in a minute. But point is, I can be a little bit like, what about this? What about that? And texting Eduardo, my general contractor, and he is so good with me. I'm so thrilled. I'm going to give him an amazing review, give the owner of the company an amazing review of Eduardo, because this kid is he's always like, sure, we can do that. We communicate by text mostly. Sometimes I'll call him. And he's just so lovely and always saying, yeah, we can do that, or it shouldn't be a problem. And I don't know if somebody taught him these skills or he just comes by it naturally, but he's so good with me. And I'm just like, wow, this is how somebody should be with a 50-something-year-old, slightly anxious person who is doing a remodel. So anyway, I'm grateful to him for that. But I want to share and get to the real point of this podcast, which is, there are definitely some things I'm learning from this experience. The first thing of which is patience. I am learning patience. And I shared this with my clients the other night on a group call. When I walk into my home right now, it looks like a disaster zone. My whole kitchen has been gutted, and there's dust everywhere, and all kinds of materials hanging from the wall, and it just looks terrible. And so when I walk in, if I didn't know any better, I'd think they're not working. They're not working and nothing is happening. But that's not actually true. Plumbing has been done, electrical has been done. They've gotten the bathroom shower all ready. It's waterproofed. The whole thing is coming along, but not by sight, okay? Not by appearances. And isn't this true with emotional eating? When we're on a recovery path, it can often look like nothing is happening. There's no progress being made, and yet there is. And so hopefully you are on a recovery path. If you're not, please let us help you, because being on a recovery path with emotional eating is the best thing ever. You deserve that. But the point is, you're probably working on it, right? If you're here listening, and just know that appearances are not the only measuring stick. Let's say you haven't lost any weight and you're like, I want to lose weight. Well, that doesn't mean you're not making progress. It's definitely progress, not perfection. So don't go looking for perfection. But even if you don't see progress, that doesn't mean that progress isn't being made. And sometimes we have to see it in the reflection of others. We do something on our group calls where we reflect back to somebody who has shared what we see in that person, what beautiful qualities we see. And it's so wonderfully affirming. And we can't be the judge of our own progress. We're terrible at it, right? We're terrible at it. So it's really important to know that when we have others cheering us on, they can see better than we can see. And so that's my first lesson from my remodel, is that even if I don't see the progress when I walk in my condo and I'm like, is anybody working here? Progress is being made, and it helps to go back to the timeline that Eduardo gave to me and see, oh, we're at this week and they're doing this work, and there's a whole list of things that have already been done, and I can see, yes, we are making progress. And soon enough, I will see the progress as well. I mean, it's not going to look like a disaster zone forever. The next lesson I've learned is to be more vocal than I want to be. And what I mean by that is I have to really reach out to Eduardo and call him and text him when I have an inspiration. Thank you, God, for inspiring me. When I get that inspiration of, oh, I need to check on this, or I need to make sure they're doing that. He's the general contractor, but things are a little loosey-goosey, okay? So I didn't have an architect lay out these plans. They have a way of laying things out, but we never laid out the plans for the bathroom. It was just sort of like, oh, this is what we're going to do. So, I signed up for loosey-goosey. You get what you pay for. This isn't the most expensive bid that I had. And so things are a little lax. And so that means I have to be more on my game, and I have to speak up more. And I'm an emotional eater, and I'm used to just expecting people to read my mind. So the fact is, I have to push through that inertia, which is that tendency to say, oh, it'll be fine, or oh, they know what I mean, or I'm sure it'll get done. I can't make those assumptions. I have to push through my reticence to speak up and say, hey, are you on top of this? Or hey, is this getting done? And he's very reassuring, of course, but the fact is, that's on me to speak up. I can't assume, because once it's done, it's done. And I will say I've done really good at this. I'm not a big detail person. I have to be that meticulous person that I'm typically not, and push through that inertia of just assuming everybody knows what the hell I'm thinking. So that's been good for me. It's been good for me to send the text, even though I'm like, I don't feel like over communicating here. I over communicate when possible. I haven't done it all the time. Early on, there was something I didn't communicate at all on, frankly. It was in the bathroom, which remember I said we didn't have plans for the bathroom. We should have had plans, and I should have pressed them for measurements and plans for that, looked them over, because I'm losing a couple inches in my shower that I didn't plan on. But overall, I've done a pretty good job of being on top of details in spite of myself. What has that got to do with emotional eating? Well, first of all, emotional eaters have a hard time with that. We tend to hold back, close our eyes, put our head in the sand like an ostrich, and hope for the best. And the fact is, that doesn't work, especially in a remodel, but it doesn't work in life either. Why? Because if we don't communicate properly, and even almost over communicate, things are going to get lost in the translation. And what does that do? That causes hurt feelings either in us or in somebody else. That causes strained relationships. And what do we do with strained relationships? We overeat. We bury our feelings with food. And so this is why communication and over communication is so important. There's nothing like a good understanding. And the fact is, it's really important that we communicate more than we're used to, more than we want to. Yeah, more than we want to. Nobody wants to, right? We want everybody to read our minds, but that's not realistic, and that causes misunderstandings and hurt feelings and breakdown of relationships. The last lesson I want to talk about, which I think is very analogous to recovery from emotional eating, is that I've had the occasion to stay in other people's places over the past year. In fact, this whole remodel wouldn't even be happening if I hadn't stayed at somebody's home in New York. They just redone their kitchen, and they had this island in the middle of the kitchen, which was so community building and lovely. And I thought, I want to have an island, and I have a very small kitchen. But I did some measurements when I got home from New York, and I'm like, I think I can swing this. So I wouldn't have even known to have an island. It never crossed my mind until I went to these people's home. And then recently, since I came to the surfer pad, there's a fireplace, electrical fireplace. I have an electrical fireplace in my condo that doesn't work. And I've just lived with it that way. It just makes a terrible clicking sound. And so I just haven't used it. And here I am at this place. I'm like, oh, I could have a fireplace like that. Let me look into this. And sure enough, I'm starting to learn about fireplaces and what options I might have. My point in telling you this is I'm learning from other people's examples what's possible in my own home. And if I hadn't had other people's examples to learn from, I would have been in my silo, tolerating the things I don't like, and not realizing the options that were available to me. And how this relates to emotional eating is we tend to be struggling with emotional eating for way too long, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. And what's so wonderful when you are on a healing path, when you are getting coached, when you're being led by somebody who is healed, that's traveled a different path than the path you've been running around in circles on decade after decade, then you can heal. Borrow from the example of those who have healed in order to have a healing experience yourself. Otherwise, you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over, and nothing will change. And you will not break out of the terrible cycle of binge eating and overeating and gaining weight and being on the yo-yo roller coaster ride. Nothing will change if you don't look to the examples of those who are actually healing. Now, I don't mean people who've lost weight. I mean people who have found a way to heal from emotional eating. My experience is you will not lose weight and keep it off unless you address emotional eating. You can diet, you can go on medications, you can do all kinds of crazy exercise programs, but when you stop, you're going to gain weight. And the only way not to is to address emotional eating, your relationship with food. How do you do that? You get help from somebody who's done that. Just like, how do I remodel my kitchen with an island? I stay in somebody's house who's remodeled their kitchen with an island. And I'm like, wow, eureka, look at how that's done. So make sure you're getting help from somebody who's been in your shoes and has a solution for emotional eating, because otherwise you're going to be on that same hamster wheel over and over and nothing will change. So 3 lessons I've learned is to have patience. All right. It may not look like progress is being made, but it probably is. The next thing I've learned is to speak up and let it be known what I need and how I'm expecting things to be. And finally, model what you want from those who have it. Learn from them so you can have a different experience altogether. I hope that's helpful. Hey, we have a binge eating breakthrough coming up. It's a 3-day event where you can learn how to stop binge eating and finally live in freedom. Love to have you join us. Go to healyourhunger.com to learn more. Thanks for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you in the next show. If you're ready to get off the dieting roller coaster ride and finally make peace with food and with your body, talk to a Heal Your Hunger mentor about what steps you need to take based on your own history with food and weight. Go to healyourhunger.com and register for an emotional eating breakthrough session and see how fast you can experience real change. It's a complimentary evaluation, but there are limited spots available. So go to healyourhunger.com and register to speak with a mentor today.